How's it going? Let's see. Does it flow? There you go. You want to use a mic?
Excuse me again, ladies and gentlemen. With the Medicaid expansion petition, what you do is complete the petition, and I will give you an envelope, and you're responsible for mailing it. This change in procedure is something that just took effect on July 1st, and our legislators felt that we needed a safer, more complete process to do civic initiated ballots. Okay, so here we go. And let's not forget to make certain you put it in the mail. It's self-addressed with the stamps, so you're good to go. All right? I appreciate it. And one of the other things I'd like to point out to you is that recently we had a purge of the voter rolls because people were either had not voted for 2 years, and then when they sent them mail, they discovered that the mail was returned to the supervisor of elections. So what happens is that those persons are no longer on the roll. And in Miami-Dade County, it was to the tune of 250,000, I think, roughly. So I have a QR code that you can use to scan, and you can check to see if you're still there. I think everybody should do it just to make certain, because sometimes mistakes are made. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, okay. All right, all right. Good to see. All right. Ah, hi. I got spaghetti to make. All right. So excellent. This is excellent. Good. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna try not to. Try not to. All right. All right. How you doing? How you doing? All right. All right, so we're going to prepare to get started. Again, we want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. We appreciate your time and efforts for joining together for such an important conversation on tonight. Right? I know, right? Let's give it up for yourselves for coming out tonight on this Thursday evening. So much is going on, but you're in the right place tonight. Good evening, everyone. I am Daniela Pierre, a life member of the NAACP and president of Miami-Dade. Thank you. We are so delighted that you have took the time this evening to come together for such a very, very important topic in our community, education. It is so needed that we continue to work together to collaborate and advocate for our children today and tomorrow. So with just your presence being here, you could have been anywhere else. So much is going on. You could have been anywhere else, but you took the time to be with us tonight. As a standing tradition within the NAACP, we begin with prayer. Vice President, Ms. Carol Lawrence, at this time.
Good evening, everyone. And I would ask that if you are able to please stand. And if you're not standing, I'm going to presume you are not able. So God has given us the ability to sit and to stand, and I've been sitting all day long, so it's good to stand up straight. So thank you for being here. We gather here, and we gather here because we all share a common interest. And that common interest is our children. And when I look around this room, including myself, I am a product of the public school system. Having said that, I still believe in the roots of the system, and we all have a responsibility as we advocate for our children. And so we love our children, we love our communities as Christ has loved us. And so I ask that you meditate on that as we go to God in prayer. Let us pray. God, we thank you for another opportunity to come before you with humility. We understand that this gift of life that you gave us today was not because of anything that we did, but because of your love for us. And we thank you for your extended grace and your mercy. God, your spirit is welcome into this place. Take full control of the agenda. Everybody that's here, anoint every speaker with your power. God, grant us the strength and the joy of your love to serve our communities and to represent and take care of our children. That next generation that will come up, that will serve you, Father God, and keep life moving forward. We ask your blessings upon the NAACP, the Miami-Dade branch, and every other branch, and our national organization. Keep us strong, keep us committed, and provide all the resources that we need to continue to advocate and fight for the freedom that you have given us. And so, God, for this cause, we stand together in solidarity, and we ask that you bless us and keep us. And all the people that know God and love God and praise God and worship God says, amen.
We give special thanks to the Church of Incarnation for opening their doors once again, for allowing us to be here to gather on a topic of education. So thank you to the leadership team and everyone that's a part of the Church of Incarnation. I see Ms. Karen. Thank you again, always supportive of us for coming out. Thank you so very much. Now, we don't do this work alone. There are many volunteers, many organizations, many advocates. And before we get to our partnering organizations on this evening, I want to take the time to acknowledge the executive committee members who came out of the NAACP. If you will please stand or wave to be recognized on this evening. Thank you so very much. All right. So our partners on tonight, you will hear from them throughout the programming. We will also open up with a spoken word artist to kind of set the tone as we get down into the real issues of public education. But I want to also recognize and thank our own chair for education, Chair Lucia Baez-Geller, to put together a town hall in the month of August, and even with certain hiccups, you made it happen. So thank you and your team for bringing us here on tonight. We thank our presenters. We also want to recognize our Honorable State Representative, Ashley Gant, and her team from House District 109. Thank you. The People's Champion. That's right, yes. And we also recognize our president of the United Teachers of Dade, who's also a member, a life member of the NAACP. And we'll hear from the other organizations. I know we have Edu Voter, Ms. Crystal Etienne. And we have also PS 305 in the house. How about that? Excellent. Mina, thank you. And we have Dr. Nancy, longtime PTA advocate in Tallahassee, everywhere. You know her. If you're talking about education, you got to know Dr. Nancy. So thank you so much. And I see a lot of shirts that make it happen down at the school board. Power U in the house. All right, Power U. I see y'all. We see y'all. Great work. Great job. Check them out with the last week or last few weeks for the budget meeting. Great job. Great job. And we want to recognize our very own Youth Council President. Please stand. This is the president of Miami-Dade Youth Council, Ethan. Doing a great job. Thank you so very much. All right. I know y'all saying, okay, can we get to the program? I know. Just want to get all that out of the way. But again, thank each and every one of you for coming out on this evening. This is great. We're going to get down to business. We're going to talk about the future of our children just before they get ready to go back to school. Want to recognize an executive committee member of South Dade Branch, Ms. Malcolm. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. All right. So let's set the programming, and then we'll hear from our spoken word artists. So we'll hear from our speakers on this evening. And if you have a question on tonight, you'll have 1 minute with your question. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll bring around a Post-it note for you. and we'll call you in the order of the numbers that we have. So again, if you have a question for any one of our speakers or even for our education committee or any of the organizations, we have printed Post-it notes. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We see one over here, Ms. Rowe-Colley. Okay. And then we'll give you a call up by the number that you receive, okay? All right. Let's see if I got everything else out the way. Hopefully I did. You know, education is very important to what we do as volunteers of the NAACP. We are so pleased and proud that our very own chair of education resides right here in the state of Florida. Dr. Adora Obi-Nweze would be so proud and so pleased to see so many people here on a Thursday evening to talk about education. So we're so pleased that you're doing it, and don't stop. Let this be the kickoff to 25-26. And with that, we're going to hear from Mr. Jamal Carty. He's going to provide us a spoken word, and then we will hear from our state representative.
Thank you for that great introduction, Madam President. Good evening, all. My name is Jamal Carty, political scientist and union organizer for the United Teachers of Dade. Tonight, I will be sharing with you a poem I've titled Access. A man once said that the revolution is with the youth. But my question to you is, how can we expect change and not provide our children with access to the truth that we hold to be self-evident? That access to a free and fair public education is fundamental to what makes our nation so great. Education is a tool we use to eradicate hate, as knowledge has the power to shift the stance of a state. This power should be treated with the utmost respect. We can never forget the countless lives our educators touch. We can never overlook the countless hours spent pouring knowledge into our students, as these moments are what shape the minds of future leaders to start movements forever changing the heart of our country. Public education is something that stands at the core of a democratic society, as ignorance will not protect us from the things we do not know. So as we go to and fro, navigating the ever unfolding complexity of life, we must never underestimate the overwhelming might of a strong public education system. For those who question its benefits, I will list them. Strong public education promotes equity and fairness. It lowers the rates of crime and unemployment. It increases our ability to innovate towards survival while strengthening communities through access to information. Leveling the playing fields for students of all races and backgrounds, I urge you to never overlook what a free and fair public education can provide. As learning has the power to shift the tides, we never know what lesson learned can someday save a life. And as we find ourselves here tonight to engage with ideas, I implore you to listen and remain patient, and thank the many who have fought and the many who have taught for you and I to have access to a public education. Thank you.
Give it up for Mr. Jamal one more time, one more time. Excellent, access, absolutely. All right, let's get to it. Our first speaker, she's a fierce advocate, an educator at heart, a warrior for justice, and she serves right here in House District 109. Representative Ashley Gant.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the best district in Florida, House District 109. So for those of you all who I have not had the opportunity to meet, my name is Ashley Gant, and I do serve this wonderful and beautiful and historic district of House District 109. So I'm going to give you a quick but in-depth legislative update. I do have another event to go to, so I will answer some questions, but I gotta go because it's happening at the same time, okay? Now, for those of you all who do not know, I am a former educator or lifelong educator. I taught here in Miami-Dade, and I also taught in the state of Mississippi. And so in Tallahassee, I have been assigned to education committees. This year, I was the ranking Democrat, meaning the leader Democrat, on the Education Budget Committee. And so I got to see the bills that particularly impacted what the budget looks like. And so that gave me the opportunity to see things at first glance. That gave me the opportunity to have a conversation with the chair, have open conversations. I don't get credit for the ideas and the things I point out, but I don't need credit when the things are changed. The needle wasn't moved like it should have been, especially when it comes to Miami-Dade County school system, because we are the third largest school district in the nation. We have different needs. We have different access points and so on and so forth than every other district in the state of Florida, because we're the third largest in the nation. So I'm going to start with some budget items. The budget was a very contentious process this year. So for those of you who all don't know, I was in Tallahassee from January to June of this year. 6 months I was in Tallahassee, okay? Anybody know a job that you could be away from for 6 months and come back like that? Okay. So I said that to say July was a very difficult month for me. So I'm happy to be here in August, and I'm very optimistic about it. Now, the reason it was from January to June is because we started with committee weeks in January. We had multiple special sessions, but session actually started in March. It was supposed to go from March to May. So for you to remember, what is this, an odd year? Every odd year, we start session in March. Every even year, we start session in January, because the even years are our election years. So I will be going back to Tallahassee in October, and we start session in January. So it's January to March of the next year. So when it comes to education, there were a lot of changes in things, and I advocated for Miami-Dade particularly because the changes in how they were allocating the money was going to create a significant deficit for our school district. The needle moved a little bit, but it didn't move where it needed to be in order for us not to be facing a deficit. So in reality, what happened was $15.8 billion were given to education this year, and that was up from $15.6 billion last year. However, inflation, okay? So there was a 1.73 increase from 3%, 1.73% increase from last year, but inflation increased 2.4%. So we have a deficit for the inflation, or to account for what we're going to be seeing with the inflation. Now, there was a lot of, conversation with the school board and blah, blah, blah during session. The school board did a very tremendous job with supplying the information to me to bring up in committee and to bring up on the floor. And I did. And so did it sway votes? No, but it laid a record. Because we see that oftentimes, they'll come back and they'll be like, I didn't know. No, you knew. You knew because I said it. Do you need me to go to Florida Channel and pull it back up? Because I will. So how the school board is going to finagle the budget this year, I don't know. But I will say this, they did a great job with advocating. They actually did a really good job with advocating. So the base student allocation, it increased by $42 per student, which is a 0.78 increase from last year. So the base student allocation is now $5,372 for school districts to pay teacher salaries, school operations, et cetera. And there were different categories under that list of what the base student allocation can go toward. Now, regarding teacher salaries, so I can't remember off the top of my head how they did it, right? But it looked like they were giving teachers a raise, but it was kind of like a shift in money. And I can't remember because now my brain is jumbled with law work from July. but it was $101 million total for teacher salaries in the education budget, which translates to about an extra $20 per paycheck for each teacher. $20. And Florida ranks 50th in states for teacher salaries. And that data is coming from a FEA report. So I just want to, set at the high level when we are voting next year, we are voting for people that will advocate for public education. And I also want to say, this is what I say in Tallahassee all the time. They say, oh, school choice, parent choice, or parental choice. I say, you want to know what the biggest parental choice in the state of Florida, where over 80% of the parents choose? Public schools. So that's the real that's the real parental choice that you all are defunding for the minority population, and so on and so forth. I'm not gonna go on my soapbox because them people be sending out ads during a campaign against me because I advocate for public schools. I just got on my soapbox. Now, during session, there were talks about cutting funding by 50% for advanced academic programs like AP, IB, AICE. I think that's ACE. Okay. And while this cut will not be happening, thanks largely to the information that I was provided by our school district. They provided me with a breakdown. I even pointed out some of these folks who was voting for in their districts. I was like, this is what's happening in your district, right? Okay. And it won't be happening this year. However, funding will now be a categorical in the education budget, which means it will be on its own line item and a fixed amount set by the legislature every year. So it will change every year based on the change in the legislature, which is, okay. And it will no longer be calculated in proportion to the amount of students per district or students enrolled in AP, IB, ACE, and et cetera. Now, I did have significant data, and the school superintendent actually sent a formal letter to all the Miami-Dade delegation and to the chairs or the members on the budget committee, specifically regarding our AP and IB programs and the certifications for our what is it called? Certifications for our CTE. Yes, thank you. And so that portion in the proposed budget that was initially very harmful to those programs was changed. But while it was changed, it still changed to it has to be reevaluated every year. Now, vouchers. There's an increasing trend where the state is pushing toward privatization of schools. Universal vouchers funds increased from $4 billion in the current school year, projected to increase to $5 billion, including a $1.1 billion in tax credit vouchers next school year. Voucher fundings for education increased by 3% overall. The state's education budget allocated $8,000 in private school vouchers with no cap on students receiving these scholarships. Although the overall per student funding rose, most of these allocations are going toward funding private education over giving public education adequate funds. I will highlight that we did have a panel with Step Up for Students, and the CEO was there. And I asked her, we talked about access for parents, and one of the members asked about, different languages. She was like, oh, we have Spanish. And I said, okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. What about Haitian Creole? And she was like, I have to get back to you on that answer. And I said, okay. So then she came back to me and she was like, oh, we don't have any translators for Haitian Creole. I said, in Florida? Really? Okay. So I will be following up on that when I go back to Tallahassee. Funding for Miami-Dade schools. In Miami-Dade County, only 38% of education funding comes from the state, and the remainder is funded through local tax revenue. And this can vary by district and increase inequality between obviously wealthier and lower income communities. And that statistic or that data point was from the Miami Herald. And there was a recent federal funding freeze where $35 million of federal funds specifically for Miami-Dade were withheld and was finally released earlier this week. Funds were under review for a 2-month period under that man in the White House request to investigate potential radical left agenda. And that's data from Washington Post, but the Miami Herald. Budget conferences for schools allocations are still underway. And the FEFP, right? report was due in March. We still don't have the March FEFP report. We need to send an email, okay? The Florida Mr. President will tell y'all what that means, okay, and why it's bad. But basically, we have periodic reports throughout the year that tells what the money goes to and where the money is. And so because there's no accountability measure with voucher schools and charter schools, the students can go to those schools, they get all the money, and then when the FTE closes, they can kick them out and they go to public schools, and now they're on the public school testing roster, and I'm speaking from experience. Okay, I was the only person on that dais speaking from experience of what that looks like when these kids come back. You don't have data, you don't have any information, but now you have to teach them and catch them up. So you're taking time from your students you've had all year, so on and so forth. The current funding for Miami-Dade schools puts them at a total of about $7 billion from all sources, and it's $100 million less than last year due to federal stimulus funds expiring, and that data is from WLRN. Now bills. Let's talk about bills. Oh, you did such a good job, Arena. I couldn't remember my votes, and she have them on here. She knows she works for a forgetful but crazy person. So HB 1105 was the overarching education bill that passed, and it requires a school district to share revenues it may receive from a local government infrastructure surtax with eligible charter schools. There was a lot of charter school bills that kept moving further and further into allowing charter schools to just pilfer off of public schools. It makes it easier for public schools to be converted to a private charter school if it becomes a job engine. School districts are prohibited from charging rental or leasing fees for existing charter schools. Prohibits students' use of cell phone during the day in grades K-8 with exceptions for emergencies. Eliminates the certificate of completion to students who fail who fail to earn a standard high school diploma. I voted no on that bill. Surprise. The middle school start time repeal, I voted yes on it because it was a stupid bill anyway. The next bill is school district reporting requirements. It requires schools to remove teacher and staff who have been accused of felony or extreme misdemeanors. That bill was, I voted yes on that bill. There's going to be a glitch bill for that. And I asked because being a former teacher and also being a criminal defense attorney, there are some instances where this will be a little too extreme. I expect a glitch bill to happen to fix it, but the premise of the bill made sense. Human traffic awareness, early diabetes detection program, diabetes management in school, I voted yes on all of those. Anaphylaxis in public schools, I voted yes, right? I voted yes. The cardiac emergencies and school social workers law that requires social workers or certification requirements for social workers going forward, I voted yes on those bills. So it's a quick snapshot of the bills because I got 10 minutes and I got to go. But what questions do y'all have for me? Wait. Do you want to ask me or you could do it later?
So could there be clarification on the relationship between charters and like public schools and like how exactly that money's being siphoned? Because they said that charters are public schools.
So charters are considered public schools, right? All right. Correct.
So I just want to make sure we add that, so for clarification
Okay, so I don't know when that board meeting was. I don't know exactly what was said, so I don't want to like comment on what exactly was said. But there is a statutory distinction with private schools, and they categorize charter schools as public schools, and there are regulations that are different for the different structures. Now, as far as the money, that goes into what I said earlier regarding the accountability of the vouchers that go to charter schools. Like, there's no measure of how the money is spent, or there's no measure of if that student doesn't stay the entire year, the money then goes to the school where they are housed at. There, Arena, did we did pass a bill that required the ID numbers, right? Okay, no, the ID numbers are not in there. Wasn't in it? Okay. So never mind. So that was in the iteration. I think the Senate did this when it was bouncing back. So I think we did vote on it at first in the House, and then when it came back from the Senate, they had removed the language. Is that right? I don't remember, but it was in the bill after it left the committee. I know that much. Where we were trying to create a system of tracking, where it's not students are on multiple school roles and figuring out how to track those students. We did come up with the solution, but it didn't make it to the ultimate bill. So I think that will come back because that was the chair, who's a Republican. That was her idea because she's like, well, how do you track this money? So I think that will come back eventually. I hope that answers your question or even touches the tip. But that's a very complex question that you asked me. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes. It's 7:05.
All right, so for everyone that do not know me, I am Michael A. Hepburn. I'm actually running to be the mayor here in the city of Miami. Representative, I know I'm in the church, but I do not have good news to bring. So I'm just going to, I know I got a minute, so I'm going to keep this quick. I spoke to about 946 residents this week to ask them were they aware of the advocacy that was done this year in Tallahassee. Did not say yes. When I told them, did they know that we are actually not the third largest school district in this country because only 59% of our kids actually go to traditional Miami-Dade County public schools. Did they know that? No. I asked them, did they ever reach out to your office or if anybody else ever reached out? No one said that they did. I personally reached out to your office almost 4 times this year. Was non-responsive, right? And on top of that, we sit here and we talk about the budget, but then you actually voted for it. So if we believe in all the stuff that you're saying, why does the advocacy and then the action doesn't match?
All right.
So I need solutions.
Thank you so much for that. So first, I voted for the budget because that's the total budget. So there were aspects of the budget that I voted for, including money that I brought back home that I voted for. So that's why I voted for the budget. And I can also speak against the budget on the floor and create a record, which is what I did, the entire time. Now, as far as you reaching out to my office 4 times, how we can follow up, my district is here literally every day. If you called, our systems were down for a couple months, but that's on the state, not on us. Our office is at the Joseph Kayla Center, and when I'm here, I am literally there every single day. So you can always stop by, or you can email us to schedule an appointment. As far as residents not knowing, I will say that apathy is the death of us, and as much as I put information out there, is over 170,000 people in my district. And so the 900 and some odd people that you did touch, I hope you did share my information or share information on how they can become aware of who their representative is. But every single day I reach out, every single day I touch different people, but it's one of me, over 170,000 people, and I'm doing the best I can. So, yeah. And one more question now. Yeah, I do.
All right, let's thank our state
Well,
representative.
he was asking. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's just one more. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. You could go, sir.
Hi, my name is Gregory Black, and my question is, what is the stake of holding public school money and charter school get theirs quicker than public school?
So I don't know what the time frame is for public versus charter. So I can't intelligently and with information or informed and in an informed way answer that question. The money is released from the state to the district itself, and I believe that happens pretty much around the same time. But I don't know the time frames for me to like answer that question intelligently. Honestly, I think that's more of a question for maybe some of the advocates here that know more about the budget release. So I don't know, because I don't actually deal with that part, because that's in the agency, and I don't actually go into like what the systems and the agencies are unless I'm on a specific committee, and I'm not on that committee. Yeah. Well, thank you all for allowing me to provide you the update. Thank you to the NAACP, always doing the work of the people. My office, again, is at the Joseph Caleb Center, not in the main building, but the building on the side, and I am literally there every single day. And you can also find me on socials. And that's it. Thank you. I have a town hall on the 26th. Thank you. It's at the OPAC Center, so the Overtown Performing Arts Center, and it starts at 5, and there's a registration link, and there's flyers around, so make sure you register. And we're going to leave some of our cards here as well with additional flyers. Thank y'all.
Here's some cards. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you to House District 109. They have the flyers. Thank you so very much. Representative Gant, job well done. Want to recognize our president of the PTA, Mr. Jude Bruno, in the house. All right. Doing the work for the people and the children. All right, we're going to keep the conversation going. At this time, we're going to hear from the president of Teachers of Dade. Again, if you have questions, we do have someone with the Post-it notes so you can get your number. Okay. All right. So are we ready? Just 2 people ready? Huh? Oh. All right. Now, let's get this. All right, Mr. Tony White is a member of the NAACP and president of United Teachers of Dade. He is very hardworking, always at the school board meetings, and very, very personable and knows his stuff. How about that? He recently came up with us to the National Convention of the NAACP, and he is a proud supporter of public education. Let's welcome Mr. Tony White, president of UTD. You're gonna start here, or you wanna go? Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I'm a 31-year veteran of Dade County Public Schools, and I'm a lifelong person for Miami-Dade County. I was born and raised here in the county of Dade. I'm what they call a towner. I've lived everywhere in this city you can live, from Overtown to Brown Sub to Liberty City to Opelika to Carroll City, now to Pembroke Pines. But I say that to say that we're not creatures of our environment. We take our environment and we move it forward and we change the things that need to be changed. Because I'm fortunate enough now to be a classroom teacher in Dade County for 22 years, and I have to say that Dade County Public Schools actually saved my life. I'm a graduate of American Senior High. I graduated in 1979. I got caught up in the busing deal where I was originally at Carroll City in 1976, but they took all the underclassmen and sent us to the new school, where they integrated 1/3 black, 1/3 white, and 1/3 Hispanic. I don't have to tell you how that worked out in the early years, but if you know anything about American High, those were some rough years in those first few years. I've been fortunate enough to be in the education profession, and I actually got into this profession by accident. I'm a graduate of Grambling State University. I got a degree in accounting. I'm an accountant by degree only, not by attitude. But I found out very quickly, but that's not the profession, or that's not something that I could do each and every day. I came back to Miami, Florida in 1983. I actually left in 79 and I didn't return. I came back in 93, as a matter of fact, because also at Grambling State University, I was a commissioned in the Air Force as a second lieutenant. So I did B-52s. I came out, I tried accounting for about 6 months. I realized it wasn't for me. I did insurance and financial services, and I moved back when my mother became ill. And I found out something. I started substitute teaching while I was waiting to get my Series of 6 and 63 license. But I noticed that people hadn't changed a whole lot when it came to black boys in school and education. I took a position as a substitute teacher, and you know there was very few black men in the teaching profession. When I came back, it was about 90% female and only 10% male. So I started to get all the students that other people did not want to deal with, right? And fortunately, I remember I was one of those back in the day, right? But I saw myself over and over again as I was substitute teaching. And 31 years later, I'm still in the profession. But I'm in the profession for a total different reason, because I recognize that the only help we're going to get when it comes to educating our students is what we're able to provide from the inside. You know, there's an old saying, you should never expect your oppressor to educate your kids. True education starts in the home, and we still lack a little bit in that area. But I was fortunate enough to understand, or old enough at the time, to understand where my value was needed the most, and that was in Dade County Public Schools. So for 22 years, I spent in the classroom. The last 9 years, I was fortunate enough to be the first vice president of the United Teachers of Dade, and I was elected president in March of this year. So let me tell you a little bit about who United Teachers of Dade is, who we are, what we do, and more importantly, why we do it. At United Teachers of Dade, we are actually a union of professionals who work to advance the cause of public education. Our number one thing is to educate students. However, we also empower our employees or our members, but we work with parents in the communities to build the greater Miami. Some people say you can stretch yourself too thin, but I don't believe that. I believe you're supposed to insert yourself wherever the situation allows you to, where you can be beneficial to my people. So as well as being the president of United Teachers of Dade, I also am a member of the NAACP. I'm a member of A. Philip Randolph Institute. Various other organizations that specialize in serving the youth, because the youth is definitely our future. My tenure at United Teachers of Dade is a little bit different, because it's not always about wages, working conditions, and benefits. It's actually about survival right now, because we're living in a time where they're taking education back, or they want to take education back 100 years. What I do know is the only thing that they ever killed the slave for was reading. And if you don't read, you miss out on a lot of things. They didn't kill you for running away. They didn't kill you for anything else. But if you attempted to educate yourself, you were banished from this place. So it is the heart of everything I do today. I've been fortunate to spend 20 some odd years running back and forth to Tallahassee during the Florida legislature. I've been fortunate enough to work at low performing schools as well as high performing schools. I've only served 3 schools in my entire career here in Dade County. I started out at Lake Stevens Middle School. I went to Carol City Middle School. And then I was hired to teach at Jose Marti Middle School back in 1994. At Jose Marti, it turns into a 612 academy, STEM school, math, science, and education. But what I was able to do that is continually recruit my people to come to a school outside of their district. When they talk about choice, ladies and gentlemen, Dade County Public Schools has more choice than any district in this country. We have over 1,000 different choice programs that kids can get into in this country. So when they started the charter movement, and the charter movement was built on giving parental choice, they can't even compete with the choice options that's available in Dade County Public Schools today. No way possible. But when you talk about where we are and where we go from here, we realize at United Teachers of Dade that our fight for education, we can never win that fight alone. That fight requires the coalition or the combining of our resources with other organizations with like interests. That's one of the reasons I stick with the NAACP and A. Philip Randolph and the 5,000 Role Models Association, because it really truly takes a village to get to where we're trying to go. So, you know, in 2025, we're seeing what I refer to as revisionist history in the making. Everything that our country is going through now is missing the generations prior to us. I'm a 1961 baby, so I miss the voting rights fights. I miss the civil rights fights, right? I was a child in those days. But I do understand history, because history should never be a mystery. And one of the greatest things they try to take from us today is the ability to learn and teach true history. I call the United States the greatest, we're in the church, messed up country in the world. I say that for the simple fact that this is the land of opportunity. This is the place where you can do the things that you desire if you can commit to those things. And we must commit to ensuring that we do not go back 100 years, especially when it comes to the development of our children, because we lose them in generations. The current president we have today, I know we in church, but the current president we have today has a backwards mentality, right? He wants to destroy everything that has been built in this country over the last 100 years. Education has always been the great equalizer to getting fair and just treatment in this country. You know, my father was a Vietnam veteran, but in the 60s and the 70s, when that war was over, they had a lot of benefits for veterans, but they were not for veterans of our persuasion, right? We didn't necessarily get the housing that other people got. We didn't necessarily get the education that other people got. Yeah, they provided us some crumbs, and it allowed me to get a degree, but it didn't provide the things that they provided others. So we've never started on the same playing field. What we have to do is create the field that we want. And somebody mentioned apathy before. The biggest problem in our community is apathetic thinking. They convince us that it's not worth our time to do things like voting. And there are some people in this room that went through those years, and they understand the power and the value of voting. Because if voting wasn't important, they wouldn't have been killing us for it. And today, if you look at the news today, you'll notice they're trying to gerrymander every voting district in this country, because it's in that book, what they call Project 2025, what we tried to get people to read for the last 2 years, and people still haven't opened that book. They have already done 46% of the things in that Project 25 book in this country right now, in an 8-month span. So we got to wake up, people. We got to educate our friends, our families, and our foes, and we got to get people to doing the basic things that we do have the right to do at this point. And one of those things, the major thing, is voting, because voting matters. We live in a state today that's 100% controlled by one party. And if you know anything about the democratic process, it was not meant to be controlled by one party. There's supposed to be a system of checks and balances. And you only get the checks and balances when people come out and they exert their efforts and they exert the things that they're able to do consistently. And we have not consistently been able to do that. But we've overcome many things in the past, and I got to believe we'll overcome this president too, because this too shall pass. After these years, we'll have to get back to work. It'll probably take us a decade to get back in the right perspective. We got to make sure we don't lose another generation of kids, because every time they come up with these foolish rules and regulations, we lose generations. And it takes a long time to recover from those things. So right now, our goal is real simple. We're trying to, what we call, negotiate for the common good of all. Our goal is, quite frankly, is to help each and every one of us in our own spaces move forward through this process, in which we consider the worst we've ever seen before. And I know this guy's bad, but believe me, he's not the worst we've ever seen before, people. We've seen people worse than him. At least we know where he comes from. If you don't fool yourself, he tells you exactly what it is he wants to do, how he wants to do it. He doesn't tell you why he wants to do it. So we got to open our eyes. We got to start coalescing our resources. We got to start communicating better. We got to start promoting our youth, because the only thing we truly have of value is youth. When we age, I got more time behind me than I got in front of me. And if I don't develop somebody to take my place or move forward in where I'm at, we're still going to be going in the right direction, in the wrong direction, I mean. But fortunate enough, there are youth organizations out there that are staying in the fight. Power U University, I really got into Power U maybe 8 years ago. And I've seen the development of Power U over the years. They came into the school board speaking at meetings that nobody wanted them to. They were very raw, but they were very persistent, because they believed what they believed. And until you prove them otherwise, they will continue to move in that direction. And that's important today. We look at the Florida legislature, and the numbers are so skewed, we cannot pass anything unless we develop some type of relationships with those people on the other side of the aisle. And politics has changed over the last 20 years. When I first started in this, you could actually have honest conversations with Republicans, and you could actually work things out for the betterment of the people. The last 5 years certainly hasn't been that way. It's almost been like an effort in futility to go there, because the legislature itself advocated their power to one man. And this is not a country of kings. This isn't England. We are a democracy, supposed to live off checks and balances, and there's supposed to be separation of branches of government. We're looking at right now a man coalescing power under one branch of government, but the bad part about it is the other branches are coalescing, or they're simply advocating their power to him. And we must fight that at all costs. So we must get out. We must convince people that it is worth their time, energy, and effort to vote, even though we may not see the rewards today. We will see those rewards if we stay consistent and persistent, because persistency always wins out. So with that in mind, I'll leave that for you, and any questions you may have for me, I'll tackle those if you have any. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me level set so people can understand my perspective. I graduated from Miami Central in 2000, right? Won my Harrison Knight Award, definitely pro education. I come from a family that has 5 teachers in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. 4 retired, 1 is still teaching in there, right? So education, we talked about that my whole time growing up, okay? We talk about apathy, but what we don't, we talk about apathy, but what we don't talk about is A lot of people feel that what we do is performative when it comes down to our elected officials or our labor unions or whatever it may be. Mr. President, I was a shop steward, AFL-CIO, NFL Player Association. So I understand labor unions, trust me, I'm with you. But at the same time after time after time, I've been going to town halls and meetings, the last 20 years, and we never talk about solutions, right? We give you the diagnosis of the summary, but one of the reasons people don't activate because we're not coming with anything innovative to tell them, like, this is the charge that you should need to take leaving this meeting. This is what we need to do next week. This is how we can work with UTD next month. So I'm asking you, again, just like how I kind of asked the rep, I love the reports. Trust me, I do. But what's the solutions? Because right now, we're not hearing any.
Well, Mr. Hepburn, I appreciate the question. And I've been familiar with you for quite some time. I know you've run to get on the legislature several times because there are some things that you truly believe in that aren't taking place. And I'm fully aware of that. But the solutions are never simple. What they have to be is they have to be consistent. What I can tell you we do at United Teachers of Dade is we have hope and we believe in the process. We believe that every child deserves a well-rounded education. We believe it should be well-financed. Do I control the finances of that? Of course not. Because as you heard the representative saying, the legislature allotted $101 million in new money for the state of Florida when it comes to teacher pay. They spent $4 billion on universal vouchers. Let me repeat them numbers. $101 million into public education, $4 billion into universal vouchers.
Wait. Hello, Mr. Hepburn. Mr. Hepburn. In order, decent and in order, Mr. Hepburn.
When you look for solutions,
decent and in order,
Mr. Hepburn, I really want to ask you, what solutions have you been promoting in your running all this time?
Right. No, this won't be Mr. Hepburn's show.
We're not doing that one. Nope, not doing that one.
You can let him go.
No.
All right.
We're going to bring it back. All right, can you hear me? Clap one. All right, we're going to bring it back.
Bring it back. What you want me to do now? So real quick, something I want to say because I see a lot of youth in the house tonight. You know, the next wave that we must take advantage of is this AI generation coming up, right? People my age was kind of leery of AI because I know it's a intrusion of privacy, but we may as well forget that notion because we've allowed Doge, so to speak, to raid the government of all of our personal information. So if you believe that anything is personal and private these days, you're really kidding yourself, right? But we cannot deny that the AI revolution is here. And what we must do is learn how to harness that and use that to the best of our benefit. We know how bad people are going to use it. They can do deep fakes and all this other stuff. But what we need to figure out is how do we use it? And how do we get our children to use it in a manner that's going to be beneficial 10, 15, 20 years from now? To simply say you're not interested in AI is simply to close your eyes to the ways of the world. That train has already left the station. American Federation of Teachers is starting an AI institute that should generate something that trains about 400,000 teachers across this country in the proper use of AI and its implications. That's going to be the new wave for this next generation. So if we want to talk about solutions, the first solution we talked about is we got to get with the program. The programs are changing. We must change with them. And we can't be afraid of those situations. We have to embrace those situations like we've always done with negative situations in the past. You overcome by confronting. You don't overcome by hiding. And that's the situation we're in today, and I think that's the greatest thing that our young people can get involved in today, because they're already into computers, they're already into programming, not always using them the proper way. I have a couple grandkids and I have to beat them like the crazy just to get a report out of them on what it is that they're already actually doing. So we got to educate ourselves and know how to use the tools that are becoming available to us in a manner in which we can benefit ourselves, but more importantly, our people.
Madam
In
President.
that same vein, as we're continuing to speak and share information, a way that you can take part in solutions, next Wednesday, the school board for Miami-Dade County will be developing the county-wide plan for artificial intelligence, agenda item H8, right? So if you want to have input on the future of AI in the third largest school district, I would recommend and encourage everyone to visit dadeschools.net, look at the public agenda, read H8, look at the sponsors on H8, especially the prime sponsor, right? And look at the recommend, because in the recommends tells you exactly how the item will be implemented in the school district. So as Mr. President was speaking about artificial intelligence, it is here. And next week, our school board, for our children, will be deciding how they're going to implement AI in our schools. Now, show of hands, how many knew about that already? Okay? Okay, so we got work to do. That's one area. There's many other areas, and you'll hear from some of the organizations here tonight. And I believe Munch had a question offline for, who was the question for?
I don't
Not
know.
for me. Is it
Nah,
for
it ain't for you.
Oh, okay.
You know, my brother,
Okay.
UTD president. You know, when it comes to this AI, you know, and we just talking about implementation, I think they kind of cheated us, you know, as far as like the AI. They want to give the black schools generative AI. In the more affluent schools, they want to give them machine learning. And earlier, the discussion was about around implementation, just for people to know, it was basically at the teacher's discretion. Now, we know in our schools, we under-resourced, and you talking to teachers have to sign up. And if they don't sign up, that means they wasn't going to implement AI in those schools. So I just advocate a little, you know what I mean?
Great points. And that makes a difference, because if we need to say that we want generative AI or not next Wednesday or even before.
Generative AI is just the front. That's like
See?
ChatGPT, you put in the front, whatever. But we don't need that no more. That's just like, we always get the surface level stuff.
See?
You know, so like, I'm gonna take, as y'all can see, right? Live stream right now. We go to, they say, oh, we need kids, we'll give kids music production, right? The money ain't in the studio. The money is in creating the tech, like Pro Tools, like Fruity Loops. Mm-hmm. That's where the money is. The money is in creating the engineering of these instruments and everything else. So they cheat. They kind of cheating us when it comes to AI, where they're saying teachers have to sign up for it, but then their rollout was generative AI was going to get taught in schools like iTech, Edison Middle School. That don't make no sense. We want the machine learning. Teach us how to do the whole algorithm. Don't teach us the surface level, because then we not getting them. And then we get the front. Then we on the back end. We only gonna get the front. We only just gonna get a job in front. We're not gonna get an entry-level job in machine learning, where it's really, so, you know, educational attainment is a real thing.
Absolutely.
So that's what we need. We need more money in our school, like, more money in our neighborhoods, right? We need income, what, down here, 50,000, under 50,000, something like that. We're not going to get it if we just get generative AI.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah. Yeah. No. All great points. Fair point share. And it was agenda item H4. I think I said H8, but it's H4. H4, it is up. It is live and accessible. Read it, speak on it, write your school board members, especially those who sponsored it, if you want to have any changes or input. We're going to take your question, but we have PS 305 that's going to come up, Mina Hassani, Hosseini. Sorry about that. Lifetime member of the NAACP. She's going to share out some advocacy efforts and an interactive activity. But we'll take your question and then we'll turn it over to Mina.
Question over here, Madam President. Madam President.
Oh, he was first? Yes. Okay. 1 second, sir. We'll go to you first.
Blessings to all. I would like to say something because the Spirit made me speak to my people. From the days of this generation in America, we always was powerful people. So we coming from a time that we always was powerful people. So the voting, when the brother was talking about the voting, is very important that you vote in certain levels, but it's becoming to be controlled by bloodline, but different vibrations in this politics. That's why we call it politics in certain levels, because they don't try to help us. So now we always was powerful people from the Black Wall Street, and we know history. The Black Wall Street, we put in our own money, we had our own banking, we had our own everything. So for us to elevate too, we have to start giving. If we have to do it like Marcus Garvey and give $1 or $2 and start investing in ourselves, then we start being powerful again. Because if we was left alone from Black Wall Street and from Marcus Garvey, we will not need them for nothing. And if y'all think about it, if y'all research, go and look at the Black Wall Street. That's where you get Black history, that an African woman who owned a bank. We had everything. We was pumping oil. We had the first African cars. We had everything. If they would have left us alone, you could never look at us and say, African people don't work. African people don't do nothing. They take your economy. They take your resources. Then you become that person they want to talk about. They needed a guinea pig in the whole history. So we always been powerful. We always been having everything. Mm-hmm. So we have to invest in us. Start donating, put it together, because we can't have them taking care of us. They never will. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
And one thing, our king, Haile Selassie, is your king too. In 1935, everybody wanted to go and fight for him because he's the Christ that came, bloodline of Christ, because you always got to have a lineage for any book and any history. You have to have a history. So he said, unto the color of a man's skin, I'm no more significant than the color of his eye, there will be war. Until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regards to race. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Is he? Yes, sir. No? Oh, you don't want okay. You don't want Mina. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Mina Hosseini. Can everyone pronounce Hosseini for me? Thank you. I love that. All right. So I lead an organization by the name of PS 305. Some of you are familiar with our work, and I'm hoping that some of you will become familiar with our work. But we see our role in the ecosystem as an organization that seeks to raise expectations about what we believe is possible with and through public education. We see public education as the intersection in this pursuit for dignity, for justice, and for our collective thriving, right? And so I'm here with this question in my mind as we continue our work, which is, how are the children? That is kind of what guides my work. It is what guides me because of my own experience in Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and is the experience that I know young people are facing today. And again, their pursuit for dignity and justice. But we're facing a time and a period where there's another question that is starting to guide our work, and that question is, who gets to decide the future of public schools in Miami-Dade County? And the question becomes, is it everyday people that are in this room that have beautiful knowledge to share and contribute? Or is it the private interests that have billions of dollars that use their money to push out reports about the state of public education and public schools, that use their money to back think tanks? That is a question that we must contend with today. And so through that, the only way that we're going to figure out solutions to the problems that we face is to understand our power, right? And if I could have a couple folks just yell out how you define power. What is your definition of power? Independence. Independence, we hear. The ability to act. Go ahead. Say it out loud. Quantity. Okay. we all might have very different ideas of what power is, and I want to bring into this space one shared definition so that we can move from the same place. And that shared definition is that power is not some abstract thing, it's not a quality, it's not a state, but is understanding the influence that you have between interests and resources. The interests of the people in this room will not ever be the same as the interests of the billionaires that are sitting in a cush room right now. We must understand resources, though, if we want to direct resources in our interest. Is that right? Do you agree? Okay, so if we agree on that, then we have to understand what the resources are that exist. So let's talk about Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Can anyone tell me, and please, if you are an organization or you are part of UTD, anyone can tell me what is the school district's budget? How much money do they oversee? Say it louder. Over $1 billion. Ali? 9 billion? 7? We don't know the answer to that question, right? How can we direct resources into our interests when we don't know the fundamental question around what is the school district's budget? And that is not a judgment, but that is a call for us to seek knowledge and information. And I will tell you the budget for the school district in 2025-2026 is $7.4 billion. It is a decrease of about $1.2 billion. And I'm going to just bring up one point about teachers. The amount of money that is going towards private school vouchers could increase teacher salaries by $20,000 a year. If that money was used for teachers, instead of going to subsidize the cost of private schools, we would see a $20,000 increase for our teachers. A dear friend of mine once said, and I have never forgotten it, your teacher's working conditions are your child's learning conditions, right? That was Tony, by the way. So I also heard something else. I heard us talk about apathy. And we're gonna do an exercise. And I'm gonna need y'all to move as brilliantly and quickly as possible because I wanna get through the exercise with meaningful time for other folks to engage in tonight's program. We talk about apathy, but what does that actually mean? There are people that are using disorganizing tactics to keep us from taking action, right? We think about this across 4 ideas. There's fear as a disorganizing tactic. We see that in communities today. People are being disappeared. You know, it's hard to stand up and be vocal because you don't know what will happen. There's confusion, keep us confused. There's division. And then there's what I experience on a day-to-day basis, which is hopelessness, right? So I want you to take a moment in your seat. I've just named fear, division, confusion, and hopelessness. In your life, in your experience, in your community, what is the disorganizing tactic that is currently taking a hold of you and the people in your community? It's a yeah. All right. So now what I want us to do, I want us to use the 4 corners of this space. If fear is holding you back, or folks in your community back, I want you to stand up and go to this corner right here and wait for me. If division is holding you back, I need you to stand up and go to the corner where Ms. Merrill is. If you feel divisiveness is what's holding you back from taking action, go to that corner. If you are confused, so much information, you don't know how to access the information, you don't know what information is actually accurate, I need you to stand up and go to that corner over there. And by the end of this, everybody needs to be standing up. And if you feel hopeless, I need you to come to this corner over here. Okay? So get to the corner. We got fear. If you're fear, raise your hand. Fear. Division, I need you to raise your hand. Division is in that corner over there. Okay. Confusion over here. And hopelessness over here. Some of y'all are still sitting. Okay, well, you can have internal conversation. We got fear, division, confusion, and hopelessness. All right, if you can hear me, clap once, because I cannot yell. I need you. You are now among peers. You are now among peers, and what you're going to do for the next 5 minutes, focus. For the next 5 minutes, I need you all to talk with one another, and if there's a lot of you, maybe break up into groups of 4. I need you to think of one concrete way that you can fight that feeling. Are folks paying attention? What is the requirement when we come back and we share out? What is one concrete way that you can move through fear, division, confusion, and hopelessness? Then we're going to come back and we're going to share out some of our solutions together. Okay. What is one material way that you can come out of being confused and seek a solution that you can share out with the rest of the participants? Division, I'm sorry. All right. We have 1 minute left, so identify someone that's going to speak out with the solution that your group came up with. Okay.
Be pulled in every direction.
All right, we're going to come back to the larger group. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. All right, we're coming back to the larger group, y'all. I am here with Fear. Who would like to speak? Okay, tell us, when you talk, tell us your name and tell us what one solution is.
All right, so my name is Allie. I'm with Power U, and one solution to combating fear. Okay.
I need everyone to stay where they're at because we're going to go back to each of the groups to share out. And I want to give Allie the respect that she deserves as she's speaking. So if we could silence side conversations, that'd be great. I'm a little sick, so I can't yell, so please don't make me.
Yeah, so my name is Allie. I'm from Power U. And a good solution to fear is actually involving people in campaigns that directly affect them. I think sometimes people don't have the courage to do something because they feel like it might not actually be a vehicle for change. But when people are directly affected by what we're trying to do and the solutions that we're trying to bring, they can actually overcome their fear because they see their livelihood with much more hope than that.
Thank you. So get involved, take action with a campaign. You heard someone's running for Miami mayor. Maybe that's one possible solution, but stick with up here and you'll also get some more information about that. All right, we're here. What is the group here? Division. Who's going to represent Division? All right, tell us your name and tell us one solution.
Yeah, hi, my name is Jose. I've been volunteered by my group. And one solution is that given all our differences, focus on and highlight what are our common interests. In order to create a shared identity and actually be able to bring in more people to fight for what we each deserve.
Round of applause. One thing I want to point out that Munch helped point out was that Division had the largest group, and we should take account for that because a lot of the special interests that we talk about that have the money to disorganize us understand that they can divide us on issues, and we fail to see that at the end of the day, we have common interests. So thank you for elevating that. Did you all have a solution as well here? Yes. Okay. All right, we're going to move, so let us know what it is.
Yes, in addition to Division, on this side, we were discussing being familiar with other cultures and allowing yourself to be familiar to open up that door to break down prejudices. In the black community, there are different divisions. There you have the Jamaican, Bahamian, African American, you have VI, you have this, and most people call us black, but we're different. In the Hispanic community, it works the same way. You go under the umbrella of Hispanic, but there's Nicaraguan. How many of you all heard of Paraguay, Uruguay? They live as well. But if you understand each other, you get familiar, you break down prejudices. You break prejudices, then you start to get rid of division.
Amen. Do you know that Miami-Dade County Public Schools represents over 160 nations? 160 nations are represented in our own school district. Thank you so much for that. Here we are with confusion. One solution to confusion. Who wants to speak out?
Hi, my name is Demita Haynes, teacher. So we were discussing over here about confusion, and one of the things that was mentioned is that sometimes we come to these events and instead of allowing the audience to ask the questions that they need to have answered, get answers for those questions, a lot of times it becomes a platform. Answers have been given, just speeches. Speeches we've already heard enough of and what we need.
Thank you for that. I will say that right PS305 has resources as well around education that can provide you with the tools that you need. Last but not least, we're going to go to hopelessness, and then I'm going to wrap up and thank you for your time. So hopelessness solution.
Hi everyone, my name is Diana. I am a member of Power U, and I do phone banking at my organization. And I'd say a solution to getting out of hopelessness is turning out, giving reassurance, giving them a chance of hope, because I get the world is pretty messed up, but we can try to make a change. So I say reassurance, letting them know hey, yo, there's a bunch of people out here that want to make a difference, can give somebody hope and maybe make the world a better place. Thank you.
Again, if everyone can come back to their seats, we're gonna go to the next part of the program, and I want to thank you. There are ways that we can beat apathy. Apathy is not real. There are real tactics that are being deployed on communities to keep them from taking action. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you, everyone. We're almost there. We ask you please stay with us. We're almost there. If you can hear me clap once, hear me clap twice. All right. We're almost out of here. Okay, we want you to leave with some information and some data. Very important data. Very important to why we're here. Before we go to our next two organizations, I just wanted to uplift a powerful woman in our audience tonight, Miss Metris Batts Coley, who is the president of the Miami Women's Club and executive director of the Overtown Business Association. Okay, great. Okay, thank you for coming. All right, now, who's ready for data? Just 3 people. Who's ready for data? No, datas, but wait. No, who's ready for data? So we can have the information for the start of the school year. Let's go, data. All right, we have EduVoter and Dr. Lothar, you coming? Okay, Crystal. Let's welcome Crystal Etienne. Thank you. Thank you. You're fine.
Good evening. My name is Crystal Etienne, and I am the president of EduVoter. We are an organization that is dedicated to uplifting traditional public education to a top tier 3 voting issue. So we are here tonight to share some information with you, but I am honored to be here at the NAACP. I am a member of the South Day branch. So tonight is about truth, choice, and action. Because informed parents build stronger futures for their children, and strong schools build thriving neighborhoods. So we've heard a lot of talk about parental choice, but we want to focus on informed parental choice because there is a difference. A choice without information is not a choice, it's manipulation. So we believe that parents deserve a side-by-side comparison. Parents deserve transparency on, are their schools safe? Are their teachers certified and supported? And how are their tax dollars being spent? And charter schools and voucher schools often don't have these same requirements. There were some questions earlier about charter school funding. So charter schools are listed as traditional public schools. I just want to share this with you. However, they are ran by for-profit educational management organizations. That is how that man is worth over $200 million that owns Academica. He's worth over $200 million. And the city of Miami is giving him a historic monument landmark right now for $10. that's worth millions of dollars. And they're just giving it away to an academic or charter school. So that is how the charter schools make money. They get free real estate. And then we talked about the school board meeting. There's also H11, which is that same person's item that is coming up. And what they want to do is they want to co-locate and bring a charter school for autistic children into one of our schools. I believe it's Country Club Middle. Now, I'm all for supporting autistic children, obviously, but we should be creating an MDCPS school for those children. We should have the funding for those children through a Miami-Dade traditional public school, not through a charter school. There's another item that's going to be a co-location for the charter schools, and we're going to get to all that later, and I don't want to take up too much time, but we have a lot more information on how the charter schools and the voucher schools are draining the funds, so if you want more information on that. But tonight, we want to make sure that you know when students leave traditional public schools for private alternatives, students' educational needs are often unmet. But they have an individual education plan, an English language learner plan, all of those things. So true parental choice must be informed, not manipulated. And only traditional public schools are built on the promise of accountability for all. So we do believe that MDCPS, and you guys are in District 2. And we had invited the school board member for District 2 to come, and unfortunately, she was unable to be here. She was scheduled to be here and is now unable to be here. But MDCPS, we do believe District 2 schools are the best choice for your children in this community. And we have some information to share why. So I'm going to bring up Dr. Lothar real quick, and she's going to explain exactly why these schools are the best schools for your children.
So thank you. I'm going to warn you, I started out college as a math major. So the handout that is over there on that table has a lot of information. I'm not going to get through all of it, but I do want to highlight what is on the very first page. In Florida, like nationwide, there are multiple studies that correlate student socioeconomic level with their academic performance. And this in Florida is reflected in school grades. So statewide, if you get a charter school that has more or less the same socioeconomic level of student, they get more or less the same school grade as a traditional public school. So there are schools that break the mold. I am in the process, just about done, doing a statewide analysis of every single traditional public school and every single charter school. I can tell you that pretty much across the board, you can predict, if you know the socioeconomic level of the students, what the school grade is going to be. There are schools, however, that break the mold. Those schools have a secret sauce. And I can tell you, District 2 this year is running a 5-star Michelin restaurant. You've got the sauce. In District 2, about page 3, you will see all of the District 2 schools. You will see what their percentage is of economically disadvantaged students, and you will see their school grade. When the grades came out this year, I cried, because there are long struggling schools in this district and some other districts that got their very first A. They were recognized at the July school board meeting. But more than that, I've highlighted a number of schools because not only they didn't get their first A, they got their second A in a row with a really highly economically disadvantaged percentage of students. That is really hard to do. And while other solutions are being proposed in Tallahassee, they want to send in the cavalry. You've got the cavalry right here with your parents, your students, your community members. They are doing the job. And we want to make sure that you know that, and that we have some action items that I'm not going to go into, some legislative recommendations. If you hear the term schools of hope, run the other way. The very last page of the handout details what the actual grades of schools of hope in Florida. There are about 13 of them so far. Their performance is dismal. District 2 does better. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lother. So that just shows it doesn't necessarily matter what you have, it's what you do with it. And your schools are succeeding. So with that, we had a lot of conversation tonight about what can we do? What are our strategies? So the first thing we have to do is we have to hold Tallahassee accountable. We know that our traditional public schools aren't perfect, but they've been intentionally defunded and depopulated. Intentionally. We need to invest in our schools, not undermine them. And we need to hold Tallahassee accountable for not funding them. Our students deserve full, honest education. Who controls the curriculum? Does anybody know who creates the curriculum? The state of Florida, with the same people leading the state of Florida for the last 30 years. They tell teachers, there's several teachers here in this audience, what they have to teach. So when they make the allegations of, oh, they're teaching a specific ideology, they are lying. They're not being misinformation or disinformation, they're lying. So it means teaching the curriculum that is written with facts and not rewritten for a political gain, and teaching about struggles, resilience, and brilliance, not erasure and revision. So the last point I want to make is when they close your traditional public schools, they are closing part of your community. That is not just about the school. They are closing where you go for your emergencies. They are closing where you shelter in crisis and storms. They are closing your polling places. It is an attack on your right to vote. It is voter suppression. It is intentional. Because we've heard the word apathy. That may be true, but it's also ability. If they close your school that's 5 minutes away for you to go to vote, and now you have to drive 20 minutes away, how are you going to do that? Hold on, and make sure you're up to date on your vote by mail. Okay, so before I have 2 more minutes, and I just want to use. Okay, so here's what I would ask. You ask for what should we do? Here's my call to action. A lot of you have families across the state. Call your families. Tell your families, get your kids out of those charter schools. Don't take those vouchers, because when those kids leave your public schools, they're leaving your kids short of funding. Because of a charter school in Miami, they can send that money to any other of those charter schools they own in this state. So they are hurting your kids as well. And you need your funding here. That's one. So call your friends, tell them that your schools have the secret sauce, and that they need to get their kids out of the charter schools and voucher schools. Defend what your community has built. Show them what you can do when you uplift your own schools. Demand curriculum. Again, hold Tallahassee accountable. Vote. Get involved. Join our organization and our partner organizations that are here this evening. You have to set the standard. You can't allow people to tell you. Mina spoke about it earlier. Don't let other people make decisions for you. These are your kids and your community. And your communities are targeted with intention. Targeted with intention. And you have to keep that in mind. They want a tiered education system. They want the private schools. They want the charter schools. And now the public schools are going to be those schools in the plaza with Big Bird on it, as opposed to the $4 billion that could be in your schools right now. So we passed out some other extra information earlier. It is in English and Creole on the flyer. We have some, if you want some more information on our organization, we have some handouts. Please go to eduvoter.org. Reach out. We just want to work with you. We probably will see you at the school board. And thank you all for being here this evening. And thank you, NAACP, and to the church for allowing us to be here this evening.
Dr. Lotte has a question for you. Then we'll bring up President Bruno.
Yes. Lawther. Rhymes with father. Yes. I will be happy to do that. And you.
That no more Dade County public school bus coming in my area, I knew then something was wrong. Something was up. When I noticed that private buses was coming up in my community in that area, where are they taking those children? 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. Where are they going? Miami-Dade County public school bus not in our neighborhoods no more. So therefore, we know the census in our area, as far as counting the students, has dwindled, and that's going to be the school that they're going to target to close. They not recognize the teachers' ability because they have already taken their creativity from the teachers. When I was growing up, teachers were very creative. They brought in creativity to help each individual child learn. I don't care where you come from. They were able to do that. But now, since the redirecting of our communities is not right. And we have to be very aware of that. Something as simple as me noticing no public schools in our area. If you see them, they're going to be on the highway 22nd. No.
So right now, of the PTA parent teachers. Oh, and chair.
Thank you very much, Madam President. And it's a privilege to be here representing Florida PTA. I've only got 2 points to mention, but before I do, many people said a lot of things tonight, and I could agree very much so. But, you know, despite my weight, I'm only 30 years old. And I say that very intentionally. When one of our speakers spoke about the revisionist history that we're experiencing in this country, unfortunately, that's all I've known and for more than half of my life, witnessing what America is transforming into. And for me, it took a very peak when we elected a black president in 2008, where I was in 8th grade going into high school, and witnessing how some folks were unsettled and uneasy situation. And what I have to tell you to segue into what I'm here for is what made a difference, at least in my community, was when parents got involved at the schoolhouse. When you started seeing not just the moms, but the dads actually showing up to say, it's going to be all right. And here's why it's going to be all right. Because we've been here before, and this is payment. To the 2 points I want to mention, the most impactful way you can bless a child in this community is to show up at their school. And if you have the time, I would visit your school and see how you can be helpful on the first day of school. When you're going to have parents, because of life and having to work, they're not going to be able to walk that child where they need to go. But seeing another community member to do so is going to uplift that child more than you know. And not just the first day of school. We need you to show up every day as often as you can, whether it's to volunteer in the media centers that aren't staffed as they once used to because of budget. That's not the school district, but in Tallahassee, let's be honest. But make sure that we have a presence, and you can simply do so by joining a PTA. We're not asking you to move tables, but we're asking you to be an advocate for the children because many of them are voiceless. Many of them need up. And to the gentleman in the room, I got to speak to you directly because I know the mantle that I stand on with Florida PTA. And there's this misconception that men aren't involved in education. There's this misconception that we're not needed and that, this is not an area we need to focus on. Well, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. We need everyone in our schools, regardless of how you choose to identify yourself. And I want to make sure that you understand, because growing up, I was raised by a single father. I was abandoned by my mother. I'm okay to say that. It was my father that brought me up and the other men that were in the classroom educating me. So I want to make sure that we leave here understanding that it takes a village. It's not just the women, but it is both men and women to make sure that our children see the full picture. So those are the 2 points I want to mention, and to join a PTA, because quite frankly, we need every advocate. I take my legislative notes from this young lady right here, Nancy Lother right here, to make sure that I stay with what's happening in Tallahassee. But as she will always tell you, always said, there is nothing more powerful than a in Tallahassee. They will listen, especially when you say, I am a parent. Especially when you tell them, I took the day off. Especially when you tell them, I am a voter. And that you're paying attention. So, folks, join a PTA after you join NAACP, of course. All right, and make sure that we do what we can to stand for children. And thank you, Madam President, for allowing me to be here with you all. And thank you all for the work you're doing.
All right. All right, so we are getting ready to bring it in. We have to hear from one of our standing committees, our education committee, Chairwoman Lucia Baez-Geller.
Thank you. And we're going to wrap it up. I just want to thank you all for being here, staying through the evening. I think we've had a lot of great discussion, but mostly this is just a starting point for our education committee here at the NAACP. We wanted you guys to come here, engage with us, because there are a lot of issues. We are in the middle of a storm, and it's going to take all of us to get there. So you being here today, it's a first step, but then next time we're going to need you to show up to a school board meeting, and next time we're going to need you to show up to a county meeting. And we're going to be there every step of the way to protect our public schools, to make sure that every single child has the education that they deserve, and that we are protecting our children from all of the attacks on public education, because it is the historically underserved communities that are suffering the most. So I'm very grateful to our Madam President for including me here. And the work that NAACP does is amazing. And now we just have to get to work, because the attacks are going to keep coming. So I ask you to please join the NAACP. You'll be getting the emails. And as you do, you will be seeing about the education committee meetings coming up every month, where you'll get information about the school board and about local actions coming up. And it's just an honor to be here. And thank you for taking the first step. And we're going to continue.
Absolutely. All right. So just some quick takeaways, and then we're going. So next steps, August 12th. What's that? That's right, August 12th. Just one. Only Jewel gonna be down there? Huh? Oh, that's okay. So August 12th. If you can't make it, tell a friend, send a proxy. Right? August 12th is the school board meeting. We talked a little bit about artificial intelligence They're getting ready to create the county-wide plan for AI in the third largest school district. Okay? So for those who are concerned about technology, especially in the urban core schools, if you can go down there on Wednesday, do so. And guess what? If you can't, reach out to the sponsors of those of that item, which is H4. H4. Okay? So Wednesday, August 12th. Tuesday, August 12th. Thank you. Thank you. Tuesday, August 12th, 11 a.m. School board agenda item. What's the number? Only 3 people know it? I didn't hear you. H4. Right. That's right. H4. We've got to talk about H4. All right. And we have some other things coming up, which is Monday, August 18th. That's our branch meeting. If you want to continue to be involved with the Miami-Dade branch, you are encouraged to be there. Okay? We meet every third Monday at New Way Fellowship Church. And if you have a youth, you can definitely join our youth council. Ms. Evan John is our advisor. Absolutely. Oh, that's good. That's good. Absolutely. And while we're talking about youth, real quickly, I'm glad to hear of the collaboration, Youth Council, Power You. Let us be reminded that we have our AXO committee that is back. AXO Chair, Ms. Ernestine Mike Pettit. AXO deals with the Olympics of the Mind, Talent, Art Showcase. If you're interested in expressing your talent, you're a youth, you know a youth, please connect with Ms. Pettit, because we want to start up for next year really early. We have other standing committee chairs that are here, but I definitely want to put a plug for AXO. We got our youth council. We already know we have Ms. Bartlett, civic engagement, political action. Chair, Ms. Bartlett.
If we want to make certain that we put everything together and make this a total deal and get to the polls, that's what we need to do, because we have to get people out to vote. Absolutely. It's nice that we have these meetings, but action is what's going to change everything. And you got to know what you're voting on, the issues as well as the people, before you get there, okay?
Absolutely. Okay.
That's why vote by mail is not such a bad idea.
Hey, all right. And we have a couple other committees here. Just want to recognize them. Our Young Adults Chair, Munch, is here with us tonight. And our Criminal Justice Chair, Mr. Brian Dennis, is here as well. And we have, again, members of our Executive Committee. And we want to thank each and every one of you for coming out. It is now time for us to end tonight, but we want to stay connected. Again, follow us on all socials. Oh, yes. Oh.
Starts at 10. They're going to give a legislative update on this year's 63-day session. And they're going to have things for the kids as well and some giveaways. But if you want to know more about what's happening in Tallahassee and how you can get involved, that's an excellent forum on Saturday. Get information so you can know what to do. Right? And they will help you to know what to do. So they're good partners with us. We work with them. And so I encourage you to be there. Absolutely. Thank you, if you can.
Good. And we have one giveaway. One giveaway. Who can answer this question? We just celebrated this anniversary on yesterday. One person with that answer. We just celebrated the anniversary of this very, very important. We've been talking about it all night. Yesterday, it was the 60th anniversary of the what? Who has the one answer? The one answer. Who said it? Stand up and say it. The voting rights what? Wait, that ain't the whole answer. The voting rights what? That's right, okay. Okay. All hearts and minds are clear. We're good. Have a good evening. Safe travels. Thank you. Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, we're taking pictures here. Don't miss your picture.